Yeah, best of luck. Do well.
Really. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final round of the first Lex Macula National Mediation Competition. Today, as a judge, we have two of the most renowned mediators in India, Miss Shanta Chilappa ma'am and Miss Rukmani Menon ma'am. We are really glad and privileged to host both of you as the judges for the first Lex Macula National Mediation Competition. I wish all the participants best of luck for the final rounds, and with the prior permission of the judge, we may start with the rounds.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
Participants, the floor is all yours, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Vikas Rathi. You can call me Mr. Vikas, you can call me Mr. Rathi, or you can call me Mr. Mediator, as you like. I am with my co-mediator, Mr. Ashish. Together, we will be the mediators for the today's session. Welcome to Lex Macula International Mediation Center. I hope you are keeping safe and are hale and healthy in these trying times. Since we are using this technology to resolve our dispute, I'd just like to mention that, as it rightly said, crisis brings opportunities. So let's just see this virtual mediation session not as a negative circumstance, rather believe ourselves as an innovators and the forerunners of this changing world. On that note, I will give on the time to before we begin with the introduction, I'll just ask my co-mediator if he wants to speak something or introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Vikas, for your exquisite introduction indeed. Now, I hope, I'm so sorry. Hello and good morning, good evening to everyone. I believe everyone who is audible and present here is doing fine in these hard and trying times of dire COVID-19 pandemic. To start off, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Ashish Tiwari in the capacity of your mediator today, and you can simply refer to me as Ashish. And my preferred gender pronouns are he and him. Before we proceed with the mediation session, I would request the parties to kindly introduce themselves. Can we start with the requesting party? Great. Yeah, please.
Good evening. My name is Michael Schofield. I am the chairman of MPA, that is Marketing Partners Association.
Very good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Wilson, Senior In-House Counsel, who will be representing Mr. Michael Schofield for today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Strawford. I am the Chief Technology Officer at Funbook, and I do have the authority to settle all disputes today. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adhiraj. I'm the General Counsel for Funbook. You may refer to me by my first name.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for your exquisite introductions again. Now, before we proceed with our mediation session, I have a little phrase that I want to share. In India, there is a phrase which goes on like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the world is a family. Now, considering the same phrase, you can consider this mediation panel as a family. And whatever warmth and comfort that you share with your family members, you can share with all of us so that we can end up having a comforting as well as nurturing atmosphere in this session. I must appreciate your understanding of the importance and urgency of conflict resolution in these distressing as well as turbulent times. I hope that this session turns out to be very, very, very pragmatic and productive to both the parties, and the parties will be able to reach a mutual consensus that will be mutually beneficial to both the parties. I also believe that the parties have agreed to maintain a minimal decency of parliamentary manners in this session. Our role today as mediators is that of a facilitators. We are the most neutral as well as impartial party in this session. So we will neither be condescending nor vitriolic towards any one of the party because we do not have any vested interest in any one of the party, right? You can even consider our role as that of resonating to a taxi driver. Like the taxi is this mediation session. We are the drivers and you are the passenger. We will drive and lead you to your conclusion, that is your destination, but the destination will be of your choice, that is the mutual beneficial solution that you will be agreeing. Now coming to the fundamentals of mediation. See, mediation is a completely confidential as well as voluntary process. Whatever coming here in this table of mediation will not get out of this table. And let me assure you on part of my learned co-mediator, Vikas as well, that whatever information that we will be preparing in the formation of notes, we will dismantle it immediately after the session ends. Apart from being a confidential process, mediation is also a voluntary process. So I would request the parties to kindly confirm me that they have the full authority to make decisions over here. You can give me a thumbs up either. Okay, thank you so much everyone for your confirmation. Now, another thing that I want to flag off is that, see, mediation is completely different from courtroom litigation. So I would request the parties to kindly refrain from getting into the clutches of legality or getting tangled in a legal quagmire or technicalities of the matter, because it will in turn make the procedure hassling as well as cumbersome, right? Throughout this session, if you feel that you need to have a break or a private session with the mediators, you may call for a caucus. A caucus is already a extra layer of confidentiality. It is a highly private as well as confidential meeting between the mediators and one of the parties and between the parties themselves. Also, to make sure that we utilize the best of our abilities and capabilities, I would like to inform you that this session is a total of 50 minutes, and we could reserve the last few minutes to get over and sum up everything that has been discussed and agreed upon, so that we can ensure clarity and avoid any type of confusion in this session, as well as in the next session if it is needed. Now, I think that there are some more of nitty-gritties, and I think that the parties need to be well acquainted with the process of mediation. And for that, I think that my co-mediator will be the best person to decide on. Vikas, can you please continue?
Thank you so much, Ashish, for such an brilliant introduction and giving a great idea. I think parties will definitely agree. They had gained a great perspective of it. So I will be discussing about the process of the mediation. So there is no straitjacket formula as to how this process should go. Obviously, this is a client-driven process, and you can choose how to run it. But still, I'll give you a basic run through the process so that it could be beneficial for both the parties. Having said that, we will begin with the opening statement of both the parties. We will discuss why we are in this session today. Thereafter, we will have a joint session known as conference. We will discuss upon the issues, we will discuss upon the ideas, concerns, come out with solutions in regards to the issue at hand. Then, as my co-mediator mentioned, we can also have a private session known as caucus, where the parties can talk to us mediators in private upon things that they might not be comfortable with sharing with everyone else in the room. Having said that, since this is a virtual mediation session, I request the parties to kindly be on mute when they're not speaking. Keep your videos on throughout the session. And also, you can see, I'd like to introduce with few features as well. There's an option called reaction at the bottom of your screen. You can use that feature to raise hand as well. So it's just up to the parties. If they are comfortable using it, they can use it. Having said that, I request the parties to be patient and courteous in understanding the technological barrier. As I said, crisis brings opportunity. Please don't see this as a difficulty, rather as an opportunity. Having said that, I understand that tensions run high and parties may not be in their best of their terms. And that's why we are in mediation. And that's completely fine. I like to mention that we are in this storm together. We need to work together in order to sail the ship out of the storm. Having said that, I request the parties, I have few requests from the parties itself. Firstly, I request the parties to speak, one person speak at a time. Listening to other is really important for any mediation to thrive. Second request is please be patient and courteous towards the other party. And I also request the parties to come out with solution, have a positive approach and a futuristic approach as well. Please do not abuse or use any inflammatory comments. Having said that, as my co-mediator told you about a taxi driver, I'll just give him my emphasis as well. We are just like your tour guides. We can help you, we can guide you to reach to the destination. But ultimately, it's you how much benefit you want to take from this journey. Having said that, as my co-mediator will definitely agree to this, like we feel that this mediation will succeed. And that's because I'm saying this because both parties have agreed to this mediation session. That means both parties have faith in each other. And let me tell you, with our experience and with my co-mediator as well, that faith is the most fertile ground for any mediation to thrive. Having said that, let's be empathetic, let's be optimistic. And as we have our tour guides, you have your tour drivers as well. And on that note, let's be empathetic. And I request the requesting party to begin with their side of things. That is Marketing Partner Association, please.
Very good evening to everyone. As I introduced myself before, I'm Michael Schofield. I'd like to thank the mediators who have done a commendable job in explaining the process to us. This gives me great confidence that this particular method of dispute resolution will lead us to a streamlined solution of whatever disputes we have. I'd also like to thank the representatives of Funbook who have accepted my invitation to use this forum today to settle the disputes. Further, I'd like to thank my counsel who shall be assisting me today. Social media is not just a forum for staying connected with your friends and family these days. In the current times, with such a wide user base, Any social networking platform is essentially an advertising powerhouse. When the use of Funbook and other social networking sites grew, advertising on social media became more and more common. And with the kind of technology and algorithms we have developed over the years, optimal efficiency has been achieved in advertising to completely deliver targeted advertisements to the intended consumers. The Marketing Partners Association was incorporated in 2010 with an aim to promote innovation in this sector. We have developed a lot of technologies, and now we are a self-regulatory body, and we have laid down certain best practices and procedures to be followed by various intermediaries who provide advertising databases and services to many clients across the world on social media platforms. Now, the entire association is aggrieved with the Wakanda Analytica data breach and how Funbook has shifted all the liability on the MPA and how this will affect other intermediaries who have been, doing a commendable job and an ethical job, because just the actions of one particular intermediary cannot held, accountable to everyone. Today, I'm here putting forth the grievances of all these hardworking employees of the intermediaries whose livelihoods are at stake. And now my counsel will put forth the agendas which we can deliberate upon this session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Schofield. A very good evening to everyone present here. Hope you are doing safe and well. I'm Rachel Wilson, Senior In-House Counsel representing Mr. Michael Schofield as his fiduciary and legal counsel for today. I would like to assure you that I have explained the terms of the confidentiality and mediation agreement in detail to my client. Before we move forward, I would like to congratulate the mediators for setting such a positive tone to our mediating session and thank the responding parties for accepting our request to address the predicament we are in. I hope we can engage in an honest dialogue and come to an amicable solution which is acceptable to both parties. My role here is only in an advisory capacity to protect the interest of my client. I will be dealing with laws only when they come up in forms of issues or proposals. I will also be looking into any calculation, creation, or devolution of any rights and liabilities that may arise. My client has full authority to settle at any point during the session if he deems it to be in his best interest. As my client has precisely placed the stance of MPA, I would like to lay down a few agendas that could be deliberated upon in today's session. 1, would be change in Funbook's advertising business model. 2, examine Wakanda Analytica and deliberate on how we can jointly avoid a similar incident in the future. And we have also carefully curated a few proposals which we will be presenting in the due course of this mediation. Thank you, everyone, and looking forward for this mediating session.
Responding party, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mediator. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is keeping well. I would like to begin by thanking the mediators and Mr. Chairman and his counsel for choosing mediation as an option to settle the disputes between us. Before proceeding forward, at the outset, I, on behalf of Funbook, would like to once again condemn the breach and abuse of sensitive user data by some members of the Marketing Partners Association. I would like to disagree with Mr. Michael here, as I do believe that the association is accountable for what has been done by the members. These proceedings are the starting point of change, or rather a series of inevitable changes that we at Funbook believe are reflective of a deep commitment to user data security and privacy. This commitment is even reflective and evident from the criteria on which we select our marketing partners, that is capability and clean track record, to our recent decision of publicly condemning and even considering severing business relations on learning about the news reports for unauthorized use of sensitive user data by some of our marketing partners. Furthermore, this change is also driven by the changing legal landscape, as evident from the new European Union rules, especially in the light of the Wakanda analytical breach. Funbook shoulders and is responsible for the trust of 1 billion users that operate on our platform. And I would like to make it explicitly clear here that any and all prospects between our entities will have to be built upon the values and principles of accountability, transparency, security, and respect of data privacy, degree of control that users have over their data, and most importantly, cooperation. We are ultimately a social network where people from around the globe come to connect with each other, and not an advertising powerhouse, as Mr. Chairman had stated previously. The events of recent past have portrayed us as a hyper commercialized space. Any potential reconciliation between us shall also entail assistance from the association to rectify this issue, especially with the Funbook Cares campaign currently being run by us. Our position and interest will further be clarified by our counsel and also my dear friend Adhiraj. Over to you, Adhiraj. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mike, Ashish, and Vikas. And thank you, Michael and Rachel, for taking the initiative and requesting for this meeting. I hope all of you are keeping well. On the onset, I would like to clarify that I am only here to address and smoothen out the technicalities and any legal issues if they were to come up. Furthermore, I'm here to represent my client Funbook and would assist Mike purely in an advisory capacity, and he holds the complete authority to make the final decision. Having said that, as Mike clarified, the reason for us being here is well known, but I would just like to reiterate that it is not in the best interest for my client for things between our businesses to remain the same. Due to a few events, some of which out of our control, such as the incoming GDP regulations, but some of which were preventable, a change in Funbook's advertisement policy is inevitable. My client believes that it is the need of the hour to be alive to the concerns of privacy which are being raised by its users. Funbook initially got into business with these intermediaries or MPA based on their capabilities, expertise, and solid track record. It is rather unfortunate, but it is a matter of fact that because of recent events, these values have taken a hit. These intermediaries are officially recognized by Funbook. So anything they do, regardless of whether they do it as a collective or in their individual capacity, reflects either negatively or positively on Funbook. While it is true that there are ongoing internal deliberations to consider moving away from the current intermediary system of advertisement, my client has accepted the request for this mediation, hoping to consider and accommodate suggestions by the association, and is very open to solutions that would not force us towards a complete severability of business relations. To sum up and prioritize, our main agenda and what we seek to attain from this mediation in a concise and comprehensive manner is to ascertain the nature and substance of the change in our business relationship and the instruments through which that could be made possible. Thank you.
Thank you for such a clear and concise opening statement from both the parties. I really appreciate that both parties are having a futuristic approach in their opening statement as well. So I will be just summarizing briefly about what party stance is so that we don't have anything at the later stage that we could call as something misunderstood. So in order to prevent that, I'll just give a brief summary of it. So from Michael, we heard that since he's the chairman of the Marketing Partner Association, he first of all introduced himself with what is the association is all about, that it is set up in 2010 and self-regulatory body. Coming to the point, he's concerned about the livelihood that will be lost if this model will be changed. And he is quite, as it rightly said, that he's concerned about the livelihood. He do not want that this model should be changed. And he wants, the council has well mentioned that there should be some ways in order to avoid a Wakanda Analytica crisis in the future as well. So if I'm at any point of time going wrong, please do interrupt me because it's a client-driven process and you can choose at any point of time. So in regards to the Funbook, we heard that they are making this association is accountable for the incident. And also this incident had affected billions on the platform, and it had affected in turn Funbook as well. they want to change this advertising model so that there could be no any possibility for any such incident happening in the future as well. And also these intermediaries, even single or as a whole, has affected them as a whole and affected the platform as a whole. So these are all the main things that are being discussed from both the parties. I feel there is a concern from the council. Yeah, you can please proceed.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mediator. Just one question which we believe is of prime importance when we are starting to discuss the future prospects of a partnership is, does the association have any leads on the constituent responsible for the said breach in question? If yes, then we would just like to know what actions have been taken to penalize the perpetrators and what action or policy change have they implemented or are planning to implement to prevent such an event from happening again in the future. Thank you.
Okay, perfectly. And that we can discuss very well in the joint session as well. And I can very well understand from where this is coming. So I will be keeping these agenda points in the chat box so that it could be beneficial for the parties so that they could see it in there and then itself. And I now request till then, in order to judicially utilize the time, I will give on the mic to my co-mediator if he wants to say something. Until then, I write in the chat box.
Okay, thank you so much, Vikas. As far as I'm able to comprehend the concerns of both the parties, Funbook wants to change its advertising business model, but they are ready to ascertain the change in business relationship, like the dynamics of their business relationship with MP. And a marketing partners association, that is MPA, regrets this stance because they want Funbook to continue with the present policy so that the interest of their constituent, that is MPA's constituent, should be safe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, please. You can give me a thumbs up if it is right. Okay. So I thought
Yes,
that
that is true. And I'd like to further add that we have certain proposals which we'd like to make further in the session, which would, smoothen out our relationship and address the concerns raised by Funbook.
Okay. Okay.
So,
just in a concise manner, I want to add something here. Like it is a inferential, like the main agenda or the focal point of this discussion should be the advertising business model of Funbook, right? So we can deliberate on this matter, and I would like Vikas to add something over here. Yes, Vikas, please.
yeah, you can please look at the chat box. And if you want to add something, want to change the reorder of something, and you can definitely do at any point of time. But as of now, these are the agendas. Please correct me if you want to add something here. Have a look. The thumbs up will work if it's fine. Yeah, perfect. We can proceed with the joint session then, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vikas, for summarizing and putting forth our agendas together. So I'm so glad Mr. Adi Raj has pointed out a question saying, what is our course of action to prevent future, breaches of privacy, etc. So we have come up with a few proposals, and I would like to now present them. One would be, MPA proposes that one, we continue our business relations and work together so we can jointly avoid another Wakanda Analytica. Because if Funbook changes its business model, it will not have access to our database and algorithms of the intermediaries, which we have been collecting over a decade, and would majorly affect their main source of income that comes from advertising. Two is that MPA would like to set up a data privacy board, which will have members from Funbook as well. So this committee will have three major functions. It will mainly function as a supervisory body, an adjudicating body, and as a screening committee. And when I put forward these three main, workings of this committee, I mean that one, they will supervise that such an incident does not take place in future. And when I mean adjudicating body, we will be setting up an investigation to look into the Wakanda breach, that's the Wakanda Analytica breach. And once they find out that in the concerned intermediary who is liable, we will be imposing sanctions and a heavy fine on such intermediary, and the damages further will be proceeded to Funbook as well. So once this happens, and that we will also, the screening committee will ensure that all the new intermediaries or the existing intermediaries are in consonance to the new GDPR that has been brought out by the European Union, and that all our privacy policies are under the same guidelines, and it will be a more stringent policy as well. Moving on, we would also like to have a joint conference where MPA will be doing a press release of its new data policy regulation in accordance with the GDPR, and all its intermediaries associated with MPA will have to enforce the same. So when we are publicly putting out that MPA has been making these changes, and in turn that Funbook can also be a part of this joint conference to put forth that we have put all our differences behind, and we condemn the Wakanda breach, and we will move forward with these changes so that a future breach is prohibited. Thank you.
If I may intervene here, I'm really glad to know that MPA has finally decided to make some very important and very crucial, much needed changes in their model. I think to discuss these further, to even lay down our position clearly, I would like to request the mediators for a private caucus at this point, so that we can lay down a position properly, discuss some things more, and so that we can have a more streamlined and discussion on the same. Thank you.
Yeah, that could definitely be done. Yeah, I feel, Adhiraj, do you want to say something? I feel there was a concern.
Just before we move into the private caucus, just one question I'd like answered. This could be subsequent to the private caucus as well. This data privacy board that the MPA is suggesting, how will this be different from the self-regulatory function that it already possesses? And will this be subsequently, what substance would be nature, what substance of this committee, of this board would be different from the self-regulation system that already exists?
Thank you, Mr. Adiraj, for that question. The main essence and how it would be different is we would be having members from Funbook be a part of, like how our opposing, our responding party, Mike, has also clearly put out that your main ethos stands on transparency, accountability, and trust. So for this transparency and accountability purpose, we would like to include members of the Funbook to be a part of this committee as such. And this committee will constitute our chairman and also our leading intermediaries and partners who have been contributing to Facebook majorly.
All right. So from what I understood, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the MPA would then no longer serve as a self-regulatory body. Am I right? Because then the self-regulation system would the data privacy board would overshadow the self-regulation system. But please correct me if I'm wrong.
Not exactly, but MPA as such is, as like a joint venture, is coming forward to set up a committee with Funbook. But MPA will still be a self-regulating body, and other matters or, other business-related queries and, other proposals, business proposal, intermediary related issues will be resolved by us. Only when it comes to data privacy, that's the reason why this board will be called a data privacy board. That's the reason that we will be having this in consonance with the GDPR and people from Funbook only to address this main issue, only for the data privacy policies, but otherwise we are still a self-regulating body when it comes to our other business orders.
Thank you. We'd like to move into a private caucus now.
So yeah, definitely we can have a private session. Courtroom supervisor, could you please move TC 345 client and counsel to a private session with the mediators?
Yes, I'll just do that. You want a private session with TC 345, right?
Yes, with TC 345. Is that okay? So we are in the private session, right? Just a confirmation, please.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So before the Mike and Adhiraj, do you want to say something? I'd just like to say that there is an added layer of confidentiality here. I'd just like to remind it again that anything you say here will not be disclosed even to the other party unless you say so. So, so Ashish, do you want to say something? And then we can begin with the Adhiraj and Mike.
Yeah, nothing. I just want to say that you can be open and frank in this caucus, and whatever you will be saying, we will not displace to your without your permission to the other party, and you can continue.
Yes, I sense there was a concern, Adhiraj. Do you want to bring it now while we are in this caucus?
I'll speak after my client.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rati. So at the outset, I would say that that we are, at least in principle, we are somewhere aligning with the association. We are happy that they're finally endorsing and committing to the such important things like data privacy and security. So I'm very happy with their data privacy board proposal. Also, I just would hopefully my council can stress on this further. But in terms of structural issues, we do not want that any one party has final say over matters that come before this board. It should be a very proportional representation system. That way, even one thing that we do want is that currently the association uses a software called DigiStorage, where they do store all their data that they have received from different sources. So access to DigiStorage would further help us keep a check on where these where the association is getting the data from where different members are getting the data from, so that we can ensure that no such breach that has happened in the past few days occurs again. I over to Adhiraj. I hope he can elaborate on these interests further.
Thank you, Mike. Our interests are more or less covered in what my client stated. The primary concern of the MPA seems to be that the livelihood of people would be affected, and we would just like to resonate with that sentiment that we do not wish to sever the severability of a business relation is something that we also do not look forward to. Therefore, the data privacy board, which the other council just proposed, is acceptable to us, and the investigation of DigiStorage is of paramount importance. And what we were planning on initially proposing was that we get a complete access of DigiStorage, and essentially we carry out our own private investigation. But I would suggest, this would be a suggestion from me to my client, that within this data privacy board, if we were given the entire, whatever our representation within this board is, if we were given the entire access of DigiStorage, then we could carry out an investigation within the data privacy board itself, and then take further action to prevent such a catastrophe from happening again.
Just a quick clarification over here before you begin. I just want to confirm whether this data privacy board. So do you want the other party to mention about what are the percentage of your commitment to this, and what are the percentage from their side, if I'm not wrong?
We want a proportionate representation, okay, and we do not want one party to have the entire say on matters. So this could be in the form of a 50-50 representation.
And you also want the authority to investigate the data privacy, right?
They have already mentioned that they'll be investigating this. So we want this. They have
your representation in the investigating authority.
They mentioned that they'll be investigating the particular incident that happened. We want access to the DigiStorage to investigate and figure out what data has been illegally mined and eliminate all that data from being used in the future to prevent such a thing from happening again.
Yeah, it means you would like to get the authority to investigate the DigiStorage, right? And one more thing is that it means that you are please continue, then answer.
No, please, Mr. Mediator, please continue. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll add after you are done.
As you said, as you hinted that you are very amicable to their solution, it means that you are able to reconsider the dynamics of your present advertising business model, right? You are able to not acquire any type of changes in your model, right? To continue the same model, right?
So as I've mentioned before, that even if we are looking at a renewed partnership, then it has to be based on cooperation and trust. So, and it has to be based on first rectifying of what wrongs have been committed before. So that's why we want to, along with, if the association also wishes, we also, along with the association, we want to investigate on what has happened, and even establish this as a rule that that both parties can have access to DigiStorage. Both parties can, from wherever such similar breaches do arise, we can have a joint investigation. But for that, the shared access of DigiStorage is very necessary for us at this point. Thank you.
Yeah, I can.
One more thing I want to ask. Because
Yeah, I can very well understand the concern, Mike and Adiras. So before we move and before my co-mediator speaks, I just want a clarification. What all things you want us to speak in the joint session and what all things you want to keep it confidential? If that you could provide, then I think it will really structure the session better.
Yeah, sorry, Mike.
Please, Adiraj, after you.
Yeah, the confidential bit which we'd like to just keep in this setting was we had originally planned on investigating digi storage to further prevent such an act from taking place. Now that they're proposing a data privacy board, and now that we feel that we are reaching a common ground to further mend our relationships, we would be open to data privacy, and we would be open to the data privacy board they're proposing. The bit that we would like to remain confidential is how much of a hit our fund book has taken publicly in light of these actions. There is a hashtag delete funbook campaign which is running amiss on social media, which has the potential of harming us massively in terms of our profit, and our user base could diminish significantly. So to regain our trust, to regain the trust of our users, we would want an elaborate investigation, and we would want, just like they had already mentioned, the joint conference, which we would also be amenable to.
Yeah, so just to final clarification that you are ready, that we could propose to them that you want a proportionate part in the data privacy board, and second is full access to digi storage, right?
Yeah. And to add, Mr. Mediator, and especially to add on to what Adiraj had mentioned, that we are also currently running a campaign called Fun Book Cares. So since we have been talking about image cleansing, our PR, we would also like assistance from the association on this, so that if ultimately they are going to use our platform for their business. So the image or the public image, the PR of our is paramount in that sense, and therefore we would like their assistance as well with this whole campaign.
So could you please just repeat the name?
Fun Book Cares.
Fun Book Cares. Okay.
Can you please repeat it again for me? I'm so sorry, I didn't got it.
No issues. It's Fun Book Cares.
Okay, Fun Book Cares.
Yeah.
Since the positivity of time, courtroom supervisor, we will have for the private caucus with the other party. Are we in the private session with the other party? I cannot see the counsel from TC90.
I think there's a network issue. TC90 council will just be joined.
Okay.
I would like to request the volunteers of the session, kindly please let us know if the council has joined the session. Please.
Okay, I will.
Till then, Michael, so sorry to keep you waiting for the private session.
No, that's all right. That's it. Till the time it betters our relationship, we are ready to wait.
I'm so sorry, participants. I think there is some network issue. I'm just closing the breakout room. So both the parties will be here for a couple of minutes till the time I again send them to the breakout, right?
Perfect. I would request the supervisors to kindly stop the time till then. This
yes, the time has been duly stopped.
Thank you.
I hope TC 345, both the parties, did you get a breakout room option or not?
We did. We were sent to a different room with the other party's counsel. It was just the three of us in a different breakout room.
Okay. Just give me a minute. Did you get an option again? No?
Not
Okay,
yet.
so I'll just put you to the waiting room, and as soon as the session ends, you can kindly join. Okay, I'll now start with the time again.
Okay. So before we begin, I'd just like to mention that there is an added layer of confidentiality. Anything you say here will not be disclosed outside unless you specifically direct us so. Ashish, do you want to add something here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vikas, for adding whatever you want to say. What the data caucus. Now, I just want to interact with the client meeting, Mr. Michael. The other parties provided us a lot of applicable solutions. So before we proceed with the solution that they have provided to us, I just want to hear from you. What are your interests in this process? What is synthesizing?
Thank you, Mr. Mediators. I would like to say that at MPA, we have used our knowledge and expertise to generate two highly effective advertising tools, which Funbook doesn't have. One is Hashtag. Hashtag is essentially a software that tracks hashtag, which we use in social media platforms. And, it posts similar content on the wall of the user, which has used the hashtag. For example, Food Mania, as you all know, is a popular food delivery company. And if any user is using the hashtag foodie or food, so Food Mania gets the notification so that it can, cater to those particular users and not waste their resources. Similarly, Digistorage is another thing, which is essentially a repository of all data used and mined by all constituents of MPA and all intermediaries of MPA since 2010. We have information of each and every thing that goes on, and we are ready to give access of Digistorage to Funbook. Similarly, we have another proposal regarding Hashtag, which I would like to use in the post-caucus session. So what I would like the mediators to do is that the Digistorage offer can be, can be told, and the Hashtag offer will be used in the post-caucus session. Another thing regarding self-regulation is that, which is something the council was pinpointing from the joint conference. So I'd like to say that we at MPA, we are, we take care of several things. We have a research and development wing, we have a technology wing, we have a advertisements and consultancies wing, and similarly, we do have a data protection and privacy board, which we will be setting up. So the self-regulatory is all of them, while the data protection and the data privacy board is something that Funbook will be a part of. I would now like my counsel to elaborate further if needed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. So I would, and mediators, I would like to point out that when my client is trying to say is for the mediators, we'd like to use the help of the mediators to put forth the proposal for Digistorage, and we would like to put forth the storage for Hashtracker ourselves. So another, important confidential information which my client has authorized to me to be disclosed is that our clients that is our intermediaries and partners in our MPA have actually been really affected by the Wakanda Analytica that has happened, and are kind of contemplating to if they have to still continue to exist and be a part of MPA, because they do not want to be a part of illegally used data and these campaigns which are illegal using users' data. So as they are, believers of ethically using data and have been showing a very trusted and a very good track record over the years, they have also having a moral question that has, okay, what is Funbook and MPA trying to do? So we are also trying to bring their trust back, and we do need fun books, assistance to, as we can, offer an olive branch and mend our ties. This is very briefly and precisely what we would like to disclose.
The reassurance that you want from one book should be in the that you have specified in the joint session should be in the form of a joint statement, right? And they are also agreed to end up a joint statement in the public domain.
Mr. Mediator, if you could please repeat that. I'm very sorry, I couldn't catch it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Am I audible to you now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. As you said that you want your intermediary to be assured of their business with you, right? So you want some assurance from other side, right? So that you have specified in the joint session already that you want a joint statement from Fundbook, and they are also agreed to have a joint statement with you. So is it okay that if they provide you this assurance in the form of a joint statement?
Indeed, Mediator. But like my client has already mentioned, we would like you to please present the Digi storage proposal from our end.
Means you want you are able to get their authority in Digi storage, right?
We do have, we will take up the proposal once it is presented. So just the introduction to Digi storage, and we are willing to share this to our Mr. Mike, and is what needs to be conveyed. But the details of that will be later addressed by my client
in the joint session, right?
Indeed.
So one thing that I want to specify here is that they are able to reconsider the dynamics of their business model with you, and we are very happy that they are amicable, right? And anything that you want to specify that you want this thing they will do private in a caucus and they should not disclose in the main session. Anything is there anything that like that?
The only information which we request the mediators not to disclose is how our clients within MPA are also having a moral question, and are looking whether they have to continue ties with us as well. So this is this is something we would like to keep confidential for now, and which we will.
Can I disclose this thing like you want assurance from their side in the form of joint statement? This is the thing that we should disclose, right?
Indeed, mediator, but I think if that is already agreed upon, but then it need not be touched on. But I think the main thing we seek help from your end is the proposal of Digi storage, and we will be giving a proposal of hash tracker ourselves.
Okay, thank you so much. It was really indeed an amicable caucus. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that in the main session we will be able to get a solution.
Thank you so much, mediators, for facilitating this session.
Thank you.
No issues, no worries. Courtroom supervisor, could you please bring us back in the joint conference? Yeah, we are in, right? Yeah. Sorry to keep you waiting. So this private session has given us a lot more clarity on what we are heading through. And this private session, I must tell you, both parties are having a futuristic approach and a similar approach. So I'll just like to bring the common ideas to the table, that is Digi storage. So what I heard that Mike and Adhiraj want the full access to the Digi storage, and that could be very well seen from that. And similarly, from the Michael and Rachel, we heard that they want to propose the same. So as of now, we can discuss upon this thing, like whether the parties are agreed to give full access to the Digi storage to the Mike and Adhiraj, or is there any issue in that? Then we can proceed.
We would like you to define full access, because Digi storage is something that is also used by other social networking platforms who are our clients as well. And if we give you full access, then it would be leaking out confidential information, so we cannot do that. However, under supervision and giving you access of only Fundbook's intermediaries, which are your concern, we are happy to do that.
Adhiraj, do you want to add? Or Mike, anyone?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mediator. Firstly, by full access, we mean shared access. And I'll tell you why from where we are coming from. So as I've mentioned in the starting only, that we wanted this relationship, this renewed relationship that we are about to have, to be built on first rectifying the mistakes of the past, and then having a futuristic approach, as Mr. Mediator has very rightly pointed out. So we just, and why we basically want the access to Digi storage is simply because that we wanted that to monitor basically all data that has been coming, which is being used on our platform. So we want you just want that no illegally mined or illegally sourced data is being used on our platform. I would like to invite Adhiraj so that he can elaborate further on the technicalities of this.
Thank you, Mike. Perfectly stated. Our philosophy behind a shared access is, as my client mentioned, at this stage, we have the added burden of investigating how the advertisers on our platform have been collecting data to ensure that the data they have has not been mined illegally. So our entire reason for asking for shared access is to conduct investigation, which would be conducted within your proposal of a data privacy board, to conduct investigation. And further, after the findings, we want, with MPA's permission, we want to delete all data from DigiStorage, which turns out to be illegally mined.
As we are
Thank
looking
you,
out of
Mr.
time, is there any clarification? Do you want Mr. Michael, or you want to continue?
Thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much,
would just
Mr.
concisely
Adhiraj.
put out
And
a few points. So coming to the Digi storage, we are ready to give you shared access if the information is relevant to Funbook, and all of the Funbook's advertisers and intermediaries, all information regarding that will be provided to you. And having a ethical and a moral standard for advertisement is something which we have strived for since the beginning, which is why we have created this board. And coming to the point where you want us to delete data which has been proved to be illegally mined, we would be happy to do that. And as MPA and as a self-regulatory body, we have already taken steps to delete data which we have found to be illegally mined. In furtherance, as the investigation proceeds, we will do that. Thank you.
thank you so much, Mr. Michael. And I would be adding a few technicalities to what my client has already established, as I have one question as well at the end of what I would concisely like to put forward. So what my client is also is in agreement to share Digi storage, but it would be done completely under the supervision of the board. And you cannot seek independent access to Digi storage without the authority of the board or the permission of the board. As we understand where you're coming from and completely agree that the storage will be beneficial for both of us, we also urge you to understand that the hard work gone into building up or coming up with Digi storage is over about 7.5 to 8 years of hard work by all our and the algorithm building up and all our intermediaries. So this is something we would not be willing to share without authorization, or will be completely used for the investigation purpose only. And the question I also intend to ask is, other than the investigation, does Funbook need access to this? As I've already made our stance clear, so in case there's any clarification, I would request you to please put it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel. Can you please repeat your question once again? I was having some difficulty understanding it.
No issues, Mr. Mike. So my question was, is the intention of Funbook to use our Digi storage only to look into the investigation to ensure that and delete all the illegal data that we have jointly condemned that has been used. So this is only going to be used for inquiry purposes, right?
Absolutely. Since I've been saying it repeatedly, that this since especially in light of the recent events that have been happening, this concern regarding data privacy and breach of security is paramount, and therefore the primary purpose is regarding the use of Digi storage for these purposes. Prima facie, it is like that. Moving forward, even I would disagree on the part that on the authorization part, we can even lay down some guidelines, rules as to when can this be when can Digi storage be used. But using words like authorization do not sound much cooperative to me. So a detailed plan can be laid down that way, which I think Adhiraj will be in a better position to elaborate upon. Thank you.
And a small clarification from our end. So by authorization, I mean authorization of the board, and you do well know that you will be having representation on the board. So the authorization is after joint agreement between your representatives and our representatives on the board. So that is what I mean by authorization.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritties of this authorization, I just want to put one thing that is on the table of mediation. Like Funbook is planning for a campaign which is named as Funbook Cares for their reputation, for the sake of their reputation, get back into the public arena to mitigate, right? So I just want an assurance from the side of MP whether they are assuring that they will be supporting Funbook in this campaign as well as in the formation of joint statement.
Before we go on, just I sense there is some sort of agreement that has already been reached, and that is in regards to the DG storage access. And I feel if we see the chat box and we see the agenda points, we have covered almost second and third issues. If we have been proposed with various solutions and the parties have agreed to it, and in regards to the DG storage, I sense there is some sort of agreement. If both parties are okay, can we say that agenda number 2 and agenda number 3 are being reached?
Just one small clarification I'd like to add before the mediator starts speaking. My client just wished a certain technicality detail which I would like to add. Like I agree, and I'm very happy that we have made certain headway in this mediation proceedings, and we have almost reached the completion or the success of one agenda point. Now, with respect to digi storage, we acknowledge the inhibitions which MPA might have, and we are also completely on the same page with respect to why we need access to it. It is the foremost purpose is to figure out any illegally mined data and any deletion of that illegally mined data from their storage. Secondly, the another issue which we'd like to just table due to the paucity of time, I'm sure this point could be taken in the subsequent mediation meeting which we'll have, is because of such incidents, our PR campaign has been running on overdrive. And therefore, the joint statement, the joint conference, which MPA is proposing, we would just like MPA to clarify on a later date, obviously, to clarify what essentially the purpose of this joint conference would be. And we would like to have our input into what we want this joint conference to be, which is essentially for MPA to take and incorporate Funbook's opinion on every set of best practices that they promulgate from this point forward.
Thank you so much, Adiraj. Before the mediators could intervene, just a small agreement that we would definitely be looking into the nitty-gritties of the joint session. So as you have already brought up the campaign, my client would like to give out a small proposal from our end, which could help you in this campaign.
Just to be concise in this manner.
Indeed, very briefly, yes.
Mr. Mike, we both condemn what happened with Wakanda Analytica. That's why I'd like to propose a small pro bono and a goodwill gesture from our side, okay, which is that we give you access to our software Hashtrack, which essentially uses hashtags, and it will give a boost to your PR campaign, and it will help you build the goodwill back which you have lost concerning the Wakanda Analytica breach. So we can give you access for Hashtrack, and you can use your PR campaign to boost it.
Okay, very commendable, very commendable. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, for this exclusive proposal. As we are running out of time, I just want to emphasize that we have reached to an amicable solution to two of our agendas. Like first is that the parties will be releasing a joint statement, and we will look into the nitty-gritties of that joint statement in the next session. And parties are really very amicable on a shared access of DG storage, but Funbook's access would be regulated, and this will also be discussed in the next session. So at the very end, at the concluding remark, I just want to say that I want to express my appreciation to both the parties and coming here in this mediation session. This is indeed an exclusive procedure. It is called as ADR and mediation. I was acknowledged that in this turbulent time, you are very amicable towards each other. And thank you so much for your consideration as well as concerns in this session. And I'm very, very assured that the parties will be able to reach a mutual consensus in the next session, definitely. It will be the final consensus. And I hope that the parties will come up with more satisfaction in the next session. And I'm extremely apologetic if there was any fault on my part in this session. It was all unintentional. I'm so sorry. And thank you so much. Hoping for your best throughout this hard times. Thank you so much again.
A lot of progress have been made in this session. We see that agenda number 2 and 3 have mostly been covered up. And we see most of the points are being fitted in the screen. And as it rightly said, we cannot shake hands with Prince Fist. And that's what spirit of mediation imbibes. And just if there is anything you want to say, just a crisp line, We have just 60 seconds or so left. You can please.
Yeah, by your permission, Mr. Mediator, may I move forward?
Just be please be crisp.
Definitely. I would like to just say that these mediation proceedings have been really fruitful. Some of my expectations that we had come in were definitely fulfilled. I'm very thankful to Michael for the hashtag proposal that he has provided us. We would like to welcome it as well. This can be one of the assistances that MPA can provide us when we are talking about our PR campaign, and to make sure that things run smoothly on the platform without any damage to the public image as well. We can obviously figure out the details of the proposal, especially related to storage. As Mr. Mediator rightly pointed out, it will primarily be used for investigation. It can be used for different purposes, which can be regulated.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just request the judges to give just a minute so that we could hear from the other party as well. Just a minute will be enough if we have. So can we have a minute from the judges? Could you please just give a minute so that we can hear from the other side as well?
A minute.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you so
yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike. And I am sure that, we have come a long way from where we were before the session. Okay. We both condemn what happened, and it would be great to jointly run this investigation and find out the culprits and take action. We at MPA have been always committed to ethical and moral practices, and we continue to do so. Further, I am glad that you like the hashtag offer, and we would love to, help you further with the PR campaign. I would also like to thank the mediators for being such impartial adjudicators and representatives of Funbook Learned Council. Thank you so much. Finally, I'd like to thank my Learned Council for assisting me throughout the process today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. So before we close this session, I would like to convey that the councils would jointly draft up all the agreed proposals on paper and send it to all parties present here for their perusal, and fix another mediating session so we can further deliberate upon other issues at the convenience of all parties. Thank you.
Sure. Have a good evening. And thank you for having such a collaborative and collaborative approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, participants, for this lovely session. I'd request the judges to provide them with their valuable feedback. If any of the judges want to go first. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Shanta will start with the feedback. I only want to say one thing. I wish all parties and all councils and actual mediations were like you. I mean, Shanta and I have faced the most, tough parties and lawyers who have really given us a very, very hard time on account of various factors. So I hope, you carry this spirit not only just for this session, but in future when you go out and actually start in your careers. Please do continue on in the same spirit. I mean, that would be really great, and it would be a great boost to mediation. And let me also add one thing. Marking is very tough between both of you, between both the parties. It's an extremely tough job. I mean, I don't know about Shanta, I'm really struggling here, frankly speaking, and we cannot mediators as well as the parties. So it is a tough job. Shanta, feedback I'll add on.
No, you have all done a great job. I can see wonderful mediators and mediating advocates. Even the advocates did a fantastic job as mediating advocates. You did a great job. The parties put forth your facts very well. All of you did well. As Rukmani said, it's not that easy. It's pretty tough to give you marks. I'm sure as you go further, because mediation is a process, there you keep learning in every mediation. It's not that after even 12 years of mediation practice, I still learn in every mediation, because you keep thinking, you keep reflecting. Maybe I should have asked this question in a different manner. Maybe if I had asked that question, maybe I would have got some information from the party. So what I see is a lot of potential in all of you. I'm sure all of you will all think about taking mediation, initially a mediation advocacy as your profession, and subsequently mediating. You did a great job. Thank you very much. It was a very interesting procedure for us also to judge you. As Rukmani said, it was not that easy. Okay, I have learned a little bit in this exercise. Thank you. Thank you very much, and all the best to do well in your life.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot.
I just have one point for the mediators. When you're talking about, you explained everything very well. But as mediators, in our country, litigation and arbitration really, even arbitration for that matter, after the amendment also takes a long time. So it is very important to explain to parties that, how time and cost effective this process of mediation is for them, for the client. Because as there's a very famous saying, I don't know who said it, Shanta may remember, she's very good at remembering all this, that the business of business is business, not litigation. So don't, we always tell our corporate clients, you're wasting your time on litigation. You may have a huge budget for litigation, but step back and think once again. So that's one point you should always remember to, emphasize to clients. I think I have not noted down, unfortunately, you did tell both the clients that it is a voluntary process and that they could step back anytime. I think
I was about to say that. Yeah, they have not said it.
Yeah, that's very important.
Add ground rules also. No? As Tony has said, the process is not as good as like what we experience today. So you need to explain the ground rules also for them to be doing things within in a civil manner, so that because the emotions run high in mediation.
And we often face a total, what do you call it, impasse in when mediations are happening. So at that time, for a mediator, it's very important to know. I mean, we all have we have learned, as Shanta rightly pointed out, it's a learning experience. I mean, I don't have as much experience as Shanta has. Shanta has been mediating for 12 years. She's a MCPC trainer. I have only been mediating for 6 years. So I learned from all my senior mediators. So impasse is something in a mediation process where, you have to learn that an impasse in a mediation should not lead to the breakdown of the entire process. You should try to get over an impasse as a mediator. That is something which really needs, over a period of time, you acquire that skill. And then you should always tell the parties that you may be in charge of the, you are in control of the outcome, but the process is in control of the mediator. So as Shanta said, it's not always so civil and so nice. Parties really sort of, are, even in commercial transactions, they're extremely emotional and, it slightly gets out of hand. So at that time, it's up to the mediator to emphasize that the process is under our control. Don't, go out of hand. We always have the, what do you call it, right to walk out. Like our founder, Laila Olapalli always says that, when she sees parties shouting, she just closes all, she says she sounded very effective. She just closes all the papers and says, okay, I think we're done. I don't think there's any point in continuing on with this session because you both are, you have no respect for me or the process. So she says always brought down the temperature in the room. So just some finer points for all of you to remember. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't, Shanta and I'm not aware which year students you are in law, but it's a sincere request that at least some of you go into litigation. There are very few law students who pass out to actually get into litigation. Most of you prefer fancy corporate jobs. It's good having a fancy corporate job, but litigation requires lawyers like you also. And even in your corporate, if you are into a corporate, try, try to sort of push forward mediation. Like you could easily say in your contracts, have a mediation clause. That's where you start, So that is my request to all of you, because you all are very.
One more thing which I would like to add is that as a mediator, you also try to find out from the parties what is their best alternative to a settlement, partner. That should be the one of the discussions, But since your discussions went off very well, maybe you didn't have an opportunity to look at partner. But when you become a mediator or a mediating advocate, start with advocacy, then you may have to look at partner as an alternate.
And one thing, remember, you wear a totally different hat as a counsel in mediation and in litigation. In litigation, you are out to, show the other party in the poorest of poor lights. That, my God, look at that guy, he's a cheat, he's blah, blah, blah. He only deserves the worst in life. No, but, to switch hats as a mediation counsel is not easy. So you have to have a very, you've understood, now you have to have a very, understand the other person's perspective. You are not arguing there. You did that very well, that you are only supporting your clients and you're coaching your clients. You, as a mediating counsel, it's very important to coach your client that you're not here to bring down the other side. You're here to collaborate. So till the counsels are in a collaborative frame of mind, they cannot help their respective clients in getting to a collaborative mode. So please remember all this. But it was a really interesting session to judge. Thank you so much.
All of you did very well.
Thank you very much, judges, for your valuable feedback. I think there's a lot to learn from the feedback as well as the whole session, how it went on. I'd request Saharsh to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
I hope I'm audible to everyone. Thank you so much, Raghav. While we're coming to towards the end of this competition, I think it will be a great failure on our part if we don't address the present situation that's going on in India with regard to the pandemic. First and foremost, I think our prayers, the entire organizing committee's prayers, go out to those who've lost their loved ones. And a sincere salute and kudos to all of the frontline workers that have been fighting tirelessly to essentially help us win this battle against the virus. We'll just urge everyone who's here, who's seeing this, to do their bit. Help out local initiatives, help out small initiatives in your area, in your state, in your locality, anything that you can do. We've also partnered up with Kitchen for Senior Citizens. The initiative
I think there's a network issue. I just like to continue with what Saharsh was mentioning. So we have partnered up with an organization that is Kitchen for Senior Citizens. It is a Delhi-based organization which provides free food to the COVID patients or the senior citizens who are affected in any way from COVID. So that's a really good initiative, and we'd really appreciate if anyone who's present here or who is watching this live through our social media, if anyone can do their bit for the organization that is supporting such a good cause, that is Kitchen for Senior Citizens. I hope Saharsh is back. Saharsh?
Yeah. I'm really sorry about that, everyone. My Wi-Fi is a bit choppy. Extremely sorry. So coming back with this background in mind, we're extremely grateful to the honorable judges for the final round, Shanta Chelappa ma'am and Rukmani Menon ma'am, directors and mediators at CAMP. The event wouldn't have been possible without our esteemed partners in CAMP Mediation, the Center for Mediation and Conciliation under the Bombay Charter for Chamber for Commerce, and the International Institute for Mediation. Our honorable judges for the previous rounds and their expertise and their feedback have made the competition a very fruitful experience for all the participants. to be very honest, the competition has made us witness the true understanding of human spirit, where participants from from law schools all across the country have kept their composure and their will and fire to keep learning even during these very difficult times. And a very big shout out to all the participants who participated and formed exceedingly well even while being COVID positive. You genuinely are the spirit of our tournament, and we're really grateful to have participants like you, because we do believe that a competition is as good as its participants. And we're really grateful to have such great participation. And a big shout out to Mr. Pascal Combalius, who was grateful enough to take the training session which happened a week or so back. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us here today because of some other commitment. Thank you so much. Honorable judges, if you could just stay on this call, we'll go off the live so that we can move towards the scoring. Participants, you can leave this meeting and we'll let you know.
I request the participants not to leave the meeting, and I'll just put you in the waiting room. So after the scoring is done, I'll just let you in again, right?
And thank you, organizers. Did a good job.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges. Thank you so much, everyone.
Can we start score? Can we put scores now?
Yes, ma'am. We